Let's talk about SPY, QQQ, Dow, IWM, and kind of the market as a whole, because to be quite honest, really not looking too hot here. If we look at the S&P 500, you can see that we have a big head and shoulders pattern, which is not good. You can see that a shoulder is forming here. I'm gonna actually move this out of the way so you guys can see. There we go. Shoulders forming here. We have head forming here, shoulder forming here, with the shoulder line being up at like 460 and the neckline being down here at 425. So also looking at some of our lagging indicators, we have the RSI pointing straight down, which is not good. The on-balance volume pointing straight down, which is not good. And the MACD histogram that tried to cross, but now has actually made a lower low, which is not good. Looking at the S&P 500, it's looking like we're going to see SPY drop down about another 2.5% to 425. And then if we can hold 425, we could potentially see a drop down to 400, 380 range. Now, I'm not saying for sure that this is going to happen, but for me, I have pulled back a bit on the aggressiveness that I have in the market. I've been saying for a bit that April is going to be a massive month. Still could be. Fundamentally, if earnings come through really, really well for big tech, we could see this whole pattern just reverse itself and push it back up to 480. But that is something that's very, very important to be keeping an eye on. Now, looking at IWM, which is the Russell 2000, not looking too hot either. We had this channel that we were trading for here on the weekly. We had this drop. We have a bit of a bear flag here, and you can see we've been unable to hold over 210. If you guys have been watching the videos for the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about 210 as a major resistance for IWM. We have rejected there. We are holding. If we cannot get back over 200, I would expect a drop from 200 down to 180 over the next 2 or 3 months, which would be about an 11% fade. Same situation with NASDAQ. Head and shoulders pattern. So you can see a shoulder, a head, a shoulder. And if we snap 1370, I would expect a drop down to about $1,100, which from this point here is about a 20% fade, which would be absolutely insane. But the thing you have to realize is there's not a lot of volume sub these levels. Maybe we could try to catch a bounce at 1200, but if we snap this, we're at least going to 1200. And if we look at the Dow is not as bad. You know, we don't have this big head and shoulders, but still Dow's on support. If we snap Dow support, expect 3,200 or 32,000. I'm sorry. So overall, the market on a bigger time frame is not looking that good, which means it's going to be extremely, extremely important to see how earnings comes in. So far, we've seen banks, which haven't been the worst, but nothing too crazy. So looking at these bigger time frames, this is something that worries me.